Welcome to our deep dive on exit scams.
Oh, yeah.
You've given us a pretty fascinating bunch of articles and research on this surprisingly common type of fraud.
Yeah.
We're going to try to arm you with the knowledge to spot these scams before they get you, but I got to ask, have you ever almost fallen for one of these things? It seems like everywhere you turn,
Yeah.
these days someone's getting tricked out of their hard-earned cash.
It's interesting you say that. I think a lot of us have had close calls
Oh, yeah.
and maybe not even realized it.
Okay.
These scams really prey on those basic human instincts, like you said.
Right.
Trust, desire for a quick buck, even that sense of FOMO.
Right.
When we see others seemingly cashing in.
Okay, so before we get into the psychology of it all,
Yeah.
let's break down exactly what an exit scam is.
It's surprisingly simple.
Yeah.
A business or platform, often in the world of crypto,
Okay.
builds up trust.
Yeah.
Takes your money,
Uh-huh.
then vanishes without a trace.
Poof.
Yeah.
It's like a thief in the night, but online.
Exactly.
The source material mentions several common types.
Yeah.
Like cryptocurrency exit scams.
Yeah.
Which seem to be all over the news these days.
Absolutely. And they can be incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah.
Just imagine a new cryptocurrency exchange pops up.
Okay.
Slick website promises of insane returns, maybe even fake celebrity endorsements.
Wow.
And then, eager to get in on the action,
Right.
invest your hard-earned money.
Mm-hmm.
Then one day, the website goes dark.
Oh, no.
The founders are gone,
Right.
and so are all the invested funds.
Wow.
It's like a digital ghost town.
Yeah, so are these celebrities actually in on it, or are they just,
Right.
their names are being used without their knowledge?
It's usually the latter.
Okay.
Scammers will exploit that perceived authority
Right.
of these well-known figures just to lend legitimacy to their schemes.
Okay.
It's all smoke and mirrors designed to trick you
Yeah.
into believing this is the real deal.
That's terrifying. Speaking of smoke and mirrors,
Yeah.
what about these Ponzi scheme exit scams?
Right.
Those have been around forever, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Seems almost old school.
You're right. The classic Ponzi scheme where early investors
Yeah.
get paid with money from new investors,
Right.
creating that illusion of profit.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing new, but they've evolved for the digital age.
Oh, wow.
What's fascinating is how these scammers exploit our inherent need for social proof.
Okay.
We see others making money,
Right.
so we jump on the bandwagon,
Yeah.
assuming it must be legitimate,
Mm.
but eventually the whole thing collapses when the scammer can't find enough new investors.
Right.
And that's when they make their exit with everyone's money.
So it's not just greed that drives people to fall for these scams.
Exactly. It's this powerful psychological phenomenon called social proof
Oh, wow.
that comes into play.
Okay.
We're wired to trust the collective wisdom of the crowd,
Okay.
especially when it comes to financial decisions. If everyone's doing it, it must be right. Right?
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
It's almost like our own brains are working against us.
In a way, yes, but
Wow.
understanding these psychological levers is really the key to protecting ourselves.
Right.
By recognizing our inherent biases, we can become more critical thinkers.
So it's not just about being cautious.
Right.
It's about understanding the psychology behind why we fall for these tricks.
Precisely. That's the aha moment that can really make a difference.
Okay.
The source material also mentions e-commerce,
Mm-hmm.
investment,
Okay.
crowdfunding,
Yeah.
even subscription service exit scams.
Wow.
It seems like no corner of the internet is safe.
So it's not just about crypto then?
Definitely not. For example, with e-commerce scams,
Okay.
you might see a website selling products at ridiculously low prices,
Right.
perhaps with a ton of glowing but fake 5-star reviews.
Right.
The scammers set up shop, collect your money,
Mm-hmm.
and then vanish before you receive your amazing deal.
Like the digital version of a bait and switch?
Yeah, exactly.
You're lured in with the promise of something great.
Right.
And then, boom, they disappear.
Exactly. And that same principle applies to investment scams.
Okay.
They might promise huge returns on real estate,
Mhm.
some hot new tech stock,
Right.
or even a revolutionary business venture.
Yeah.
But it's all just a facade to get you to part with your cash.
It's really disheartening to think that people are exploiting the trust and goodwill
Yeah.
that exist in these online spaces.
Right.
So many people are just trying to improve their lives, connect with others, maybe make a little extra money, and then bam, they get taken advantage of.
You've hit on a crucial point there.
Yeah.
Scammers thrive in environments where trust is high.
Yeah.
They'll often target communities built around shared interests,
Right.
like crypto enthusiasts
Mhm.
or passionate supporters of a specific cause.
This whole thing has me thinking, are there certain personality types
Yeah.
that are more susceptible to these scams? Or is anyone potentially a victim?
That's a complex question.
Yeah.
While anyone can fall prey,
Mm-hmm.
research suggests those who are more trusting,
Hey.
impulsive, or
Mhm.
desperate for financial gain might be more vulnerable.
Right.
It's important to remember that scammers are masters of manipulation.
Right.
They know how to push our buttons and exploit our weaknesses.
Okay, let's get practical.
Yeah.
The source material highlights some red flags to watch out for.
Mm.
What are the big ones that just scream exit scam?
One that stands out immediately is unrealistic promises.
Yeah.
If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Right.
Would you trust someone offering a guaranteed 100% return on your investment with zero risk?
No way.
Probably not.
There's always risk involved in any investment. That's just common sense.
Right.
But sometimes these scams are disguised as opportunities that just seem too good to pass up.
Yeah.
And they know how to leverage that FOMO.
Exactly. They prey on that fear of missing out, making you think everyone else is getting rich while you're sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
Another big red flag is a lack of transparency.
Okay.
If a company is vague about its operations,
Mhm.
its team,
All right.
or its financials, that's a huge warning sign.
Okay.
You want clear, verifiable information, not just hype and empty promises.
So it's not enough for a company or project to just look professional
Right,
and have like a flashy website.
right.
You need to be able to really dig into the details
Yeah,
and confirm everything they're claiming.
absolutely. And be wary of pressure to invest quickly.
Okay.
Scammers often create a sense of urgency,
Right.
telling you that you'll miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if you don't act now.
Right.
Don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Take your time, do your research, and never let anyone pressure you into making a financial decision
Mm-hmm.
that you're not comfortable with.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you see others seemingly making money,
Mm-hmm.
but taking a step back and thinking critically is so crucial.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Remember, scammers are experts at playing on our emotions.
Huh.
They might use fear, greed, or even excitement
Right.
just to cloud our judgment.
So how can we, like the everyday internet user,
Mm-hmm.
protect ourselves from falling victim to these scams?
Doing your due diligence is key.
Yeah.
Research the company or individual thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
Look for reviews on independent websites,
Right.
not just the ones featured on their own site.
Okay.
Look for regulatory registrations.
Yeah.
Basically anything to verify their legitimacy.
Mm.
And never ever invest money you can't afford to lose.
Right.
That's a golden rule of investing in general.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Always better to be safe than sorry. But what if you've already invested in something
Mm-hmm.
and you start to get that sinking feeling like, oh, this might be a scam?
Right.
What steps can you take then?
If you can try to withdraw your funds immediately,
Okay.
but that's not always possible. So
Right.
the most important thing is to document everything. Take screenshots of conversations, transaction histories,
Yeah.
any evidence you can gather.
Okay.
Then report the scam to the appropriate authorities,
Right.
like your local law enforcement, the Federal Trade Commission,
Right. Yeah.
or the platform where the scam took place.
Okay.
It might feel daunting, but reporting these scams can protect others
Right.
from becoming victims.
So basically gather as much information as you can and get the word out.
Exactly. And remember, even if you've been scammed, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
There are resources available to help you recover
Okay.
and prevent it from happening again.
This has been incredibly informative. I feel like I've learned so much already.
Yeah,
And we're just getting started.
that's right.
But I'm curious, is there anything else we should be aware of
Yeah.
when it comes to protecting ourselves online?
Absolutely. It's essential to be proactive, not just reactive.
Okay.
Being aware of potential threats is just as important as knowing what to do after the fact.
Right.
So let's talk about some additional tips
Okay.
that can help you navigate the digital world safely.
This is great.
Yeah,
It's like we're getting a crash course in online self-defense.
exactly. Think of it as building your digital immune system.
Oh, wow.
One crucial thing to remember is to be wary of unsolicited offers or messages.
Mm.
Whether it's an email promising you a fortune
Yeah.
or a direct message from a stranger offering an incredible investment opportunity.
Okay.
Proceed with extreme caution.
Yeah.
Never click on links or download attachments from unknown sources,
Right.
as they could contain malware that can steal your personal information
Oh, wow.
or even hijack your computer.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah,
It's so easy to just click on things without thinking,
right.
especially when we're constantly bombarded with information.
Absolutely. And speaking of being bombarded with information, be mindful of what you share online.
Okay.
Avoid posting sensitive personal details
Mm-hmm.
like your home address, phone number, or financial information
Okay.
publicly.
Yeah.
This can make you a target for scammers and identity thieves.
Right.
Remember, you are in control of your digital footprint.
So it's all about being proactive and staying informed.
Exactly. By understanding the tactics that scammers use
Mm-hmm.
and taking steps to protect yourself,
Yeah.
you can minimize your risk of becoming a victim.
This has been a real eye-opener. You never know what lurks in the digital shadows.
The key takeaway here is awareness.
Right.
By understanding the mechanics of exit scams and recognizing those warning signs, you can significantly reduce your risk of becoming a victim.
So as you continue to explore the online world,
Yeah.
whether it's shopping, investing, or supporting a cause, remember to stay vigilant.
Yes.
Do your research and trust your gut.
Absolutely.
If something feels off, it probably is. And with that, we conclude part 1 of our deep dive into the world of exit scams.
But before we move on to part 2,
Okay.
I want to challenge you with something.
Okay.
We've talked about these external exit scams in finance e-commerce, and even those cleverly disguised Ponzi schemes.
Right.
But what about those internal exit scams we touched on earlier?
Right.
The ones where we might be scamming ourselves.
Okay.
That's what we'll be diving into next time.
Now that's something to think about.
Yeah.
I'm already hooked.
Good.
We'll be back soon with part 2, so stay tuned.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of exit scams. Last time we really dug into those external scams
Right.
lurking in the digital shadows,
Uh-huh.
all those financial traps and shady schemes online
Right.
designed to separate you from your hard-earned money.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I have to admit, learning about all those tactics scammers use, it's definitely made me a little more cautious
Yeah,
about clicking on things.
that's a good thing. Awareness is our best defense.
Right.
But today I want to kind of shift gears a bit
Okay.
and delve into a more subtle but equally important
Okay.
aspect of this whole phenomenon, what we call internal exit scams.
Okay, this is the part I've been really curious about.
Yeah.
You mentioned it briefly at the end of last section, and it really got me thinking.
Remember, exit scams aren't just about these external forces.
Right.
They can also originate from within ourselves.
Oh, wow.
It's about recognizing when we might be clinging to beliefs, ideologies, or even habits that are ultimately harmful to our well-being.
Okay.
It's almost like we're running a scam on ourselves
Wow.
without even realizing it.
That's a profound concept.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a concrete example
Sure.
of what an internal exit scam might look like?
Imagine someone who's built their entire life around a specific career path.
Okay.
They might have invested years of education training.
Okay.
Sacrifice all based on the belief that this is their calling,
Right.
their ticket to happiness and fulfillment.
Okay.
But somewhere along the way,
Yeah.
they start to feel this nagging sense of unease,
Right.
like they're not where they're supposed to be.
It's like they've invested so much, both time and energy, that they're almost afraid to admit
Right.
that it might not be the right path for them anymore.
Exactly. They've built their identity
Yeah.
around this belief, and changing course feels terrifying.
Right.
So they keep pushing forward,
Yeah.
ignoring those internal warning signs,
Yeah.
telling themselves it'll get better,
Right.
that the payoff is just around the corner.
Right.
But in reality, they're trapped in this self-made exit scam,
Wow.
clinging to a vision of the future
Yeah.
that's no longer serving them.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a job, a relationship, or even a belief system
Right.
that's no longer fulfilling.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that these internal exit scams can manifest in many areas of our lives.
Why?
It's about becoming aware of those moments
Okay.
when we're clinging to something out of fear,
Yeah.
inertia, or even like a misplaced sense of loyalty,
Right.
even when it's no longer serving us.
Okay, so how do we avoid falling into these internal traps? How can we make sure that we're like living in alignment with our true selves
Yeah.
and not just running a scam on ourselves?
The key is to cultivate a healthy sense of self-awareness.
Okay.
It's about taking the time to reflect on our values, our beliefs, our aspirations,
Right.
asking ourselves those tough questions.
Okay.
What truly matters to me?
Yeah.
What brings me joy?
Yeah.
What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind?
It sounds like a process of ongoing introspection
It is.
and self-discovery.
And it requires a willingness to be honest with ourselves, even if the answers we uncover are uncomfortable.
Because sometimes the truth can be a bit jarring,
Absolutely.
especially when it challenges those long-held beliefs we've built our lives around.
Absolutely. But it's through facing those uncomfortable truths
Yeah.
that we can begin to break free from self-imposed limitations.
Right.
And create a life that is truly authentic and fulfilling.
So it's about having the courage to question our beliefs
Yes.
and make adjustments if necessary,
Right.
even if
Yeah.
it means deviating from the path that we've been on
Precisely.
to essentially exit from those self-imposed scams.
And it's also about being open to new experiences
Okay.
and perspectives, allowing ourselves to evolve and grow as we learn more about ourselves and the world around us.
Right.
Remember, our beliefs and values aren't static. They're dynamic
Yeah.
and can change as we gain more experience and knowledge.
This really resonates with me.
Yeah.
I think we've all had those moments where we realize we've outgrown a belief
Right.
or a way of thinking that no longer serves us, but it can be really tough to let go,
Absolutely.
especially when it's tied to our identity
Right.
or our sense of self-worth.
You're right. It's not always easy,
Yeah.
but the rewards of living in alignment with our true selves far outweigh the discomfort of challenging those outdated beliefs.
Okay, so we've talked about recognizing and escaping
Yeah.
those internal exit scams.
Yeah.
But how do we prevent ourselves from falling into new ones?
Right.
It feels like this constant battle to stay true to ourselves,
Yeah.
especially in a world that's constantly trying to influence us.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it really gets to the heart of why this whole concept of exit scams is
Yeah.
so relevant,
Yeah.
even beyond the world of finance.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that those same tactics
Right.
used by those external scammers,
Yeah.
the manipulation, the pressure, the exploitation of our fears and desires, can also be used against us by those internal voices
Right.
of self-doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs.
So it's about being as vigilant about those internal scams
Exactly.
as we are about the external one.
It's about developing that inner critic,
Right.
not in a negative way,
Okay.
but in a way that helps us question our assumptions, examine our motivations,
Yeah.
and make sure we're not falling into traps of our own making.
This is making me think about those classic red flags we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Do those same warning signs apply to internal exit scams as well?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at how those red flags might manifest in our own internal landscapes.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like taking those tools we use to spot external scams and turning them inward.
Exactly. Remember that red flag of unrealistic promises?
Yeah?
Well, sometimes we make those promises to ourselves.
Oh, wow.
We cling to unrealistic expectations about what our lives should look like,
Right.
what we should be achieving. Yeah.
Or even who we should be. And when those expectations aren't met,
Right.
we feel disappointed, disillusioned, even like we failed.
It's like we're setting ourselves up for disappointment
Right.
by clinging to those idealized visions
Precisely.
of ourselves and our lives.
And that's where that inner critic comes in.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those unrealistic promises we might be making to ourselves
Right.
and challenging them with a healthy dose of reality.
So it's about being kind to ourselves, but also honest.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between self-compassion and self-awareness.
Okay.
And what about that red flag of lack of transparency?
Right.
Well, sometimes we're not even transparent with ourselves.
Oh, wow.
We bury our true feelings, ignore our intuition,
Right.
and avoid those difficult conversations with ourselves about what we truly want and need.
It's like we're hiding from our own truth.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And that lack of internal transparency.
Can lead us down paths
Yeah.
that aren't aligned with our authentic selves.
Right.
It's like we're running a scam on our own well-being
Yeah.
by refusing to acknowledge those deeper needs and desires.
So how do we become more transparent with ourselves?
Yeah.
How do we get to the heart of what we really want?
It starts with creating space for introspection,
Okay.
whether it's through journaling, meditation,
All right.
or simply taking some quiet time to reflect.
Yeah.
It's about getting curious about our own thoughts, feelings, and motivations, asking ourselves,
Yeah.
what am I avoiding?
Right.
What am I afraid to admit? What is my intuition trying to tell me?
This is really making me think.
Good.
It's like we have to become our own detectives, uncovering the truth about ourselves and our motivations.
Exactly. And remember, the process of self-discovery is ongoing. We're constantly evolving and changing.
Right.
So it's important to check in with ourselves regularly.
Yeah.
And make sure we're still on a path that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Okay, so we've covered unrealistic promises
Right.
and lack of transparency.
Mm-hmm.
What about that red flag of pressure to act quickly?
Right.
How does that play out in those internal exit scams?
Think about those moments
Okay.
when you feel pressured to make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
not by some external force,
Right.
but by that inner voice of self-doubt or fear.
Okay.
Maybe you're considering a career change, ending a relationship,
Right.
or pursuing a creative passion.
Yeah.
But that inner voice starts whispering doubts.
Oh, yeah.
What if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if you regret it?
It's like that inner critic is trying to keep us safe
Yeah,
by keeping us stuck.
exactly. It's trying to protect us from potential pain or
Yeah.
disappointment.
Yeah.
But in doing so, it might be preventing us from pursuing our true potential.
So how do we combat that internal pressure?
Right.
How do we silence that voice of fear and doubt?
It's about recognizing that fear is a natural part of the human experience,
Okay.
but it doesn't have to control us.
Right.
It's about learning to differentiate between
Okay.
fear that's based on intuition,
Mm-hmm.
that gut feeling that something's not right,
Right.
and fear that's based on limiting beliefs or
Ah.
past experiences.
Yeah.
It's about asking ourselves,
Right.
is this fear serving me
Uh-huh.
or is it holding me back?
That's such an important distinction
It is.
because sometimes that fear is trying to protect us
Yeah.
from real danger.
Right?
But other times it's just keeping us stuck
Yeah.
in our comfort zones.
Exactly. And when we can identify those fears that are holding us back,
Mm-hmm.
we can start to challenge them,
Right.
reframe them,
Yeah.
and ultimately overcome them.
This is really empowering.
It is.
It's like we're taking back control from those internal scammers
Mm-hmm.
and reclaiming our power to choose our own path.
Precisely. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. We're all works in progress,
Yeah.
constantly learning, growing, and evolving.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to stay curious,
Right.
stay compassionate,
Yeah.
and stay committed to living a life that is truly our own.
This has been an incredible conversation.
Good.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding
Yeah.
of what it means to protect myself.
Right.
Not just from external scams,
Mm-hmm.
but from those internal ones
Yeah.
that could be even more insidious.
I'm glad to hear that. Remember, awareness is the first step toward freedom.
Okay.
By understanding the tactics of both external and internal exit scams, we can empower ourselves to make informed decisions,
Right?
set healthy boundaries, and live a life
Yeah.
that is truly authentic and fulfilling.
Wow, that last section about internal exit scams was really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It's amazing how those same tactics scammers use to trick us out of our money
Right.
can also like show up in our own big-game behaviors.
It's all about recognizing those patterns of manipulation,
Yeah.
whether they're coming from external forces or from within ourselves.
So we've covered the external scams,
Right.
the financial traps,
Mm.
the online schemes,
Mm-hmm.
and those subtle internal exit scams that we can fall into.
Yeah.
But what about those other areas you mentioned,
Right.
like relationships and social movements?
Mhm.
How do exit scams play out in those contexts?
Let's dive into that.
Okay.
Remember, exit scams thrive wherever trust is involved.
Okay.
So in relationships, a classic example is the whole catfish scenario.
Right.
Someone creates this fake online persona
Mm-hmm.
to deceive another person into a romantic relationship.
Right.
They might invest months, even years,
Oh, wow.
building trust and emotional intimacy,
Yeah.
only to vanish once their true identity is revealed or their manipulative intentions are exposed.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
It's a reminder that exit scams aren't just about money.
Right.
They can also have like devastating emotional consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the emotional fallout
Right.
can be just as damaging, if not more so, than financial loss.
It's like the ultimate betrayal of trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the scammer often preys on the victim's vulnerabilities.
Right.
Their longing for connection.
Yeah.
Their desire for love and companionship.
So it's not just about being naive or gullible.
Right.
It's about recognizing that these scammers are skilled manipulators
Exactly.
who know how to exploit our emotional needs.
Precisely. And they often use those same tactics we discussed earlier, like creating a sense of urgency, playing on fears of missing out, and using social proof to make their scheme seem more legitimate.
It's like they're creating a whole fantasy world to lure their victims in.
And what's even more insidious is that the victim might be completely unaware of the scam until it's too late.
Oh, wow.
They might have invested their heart and soul into the relationship only to have it ripped away, leaving them feeling devastated and betrayed.
It's a remander that we need to be just as discerning.
Absolutely.
In our personal relationships as we are in our financial dealings.
Absolutely. We need to trust our gut, pay attention to red flags, and be willing to walk away if something feels off. Even if it's painful.
Okay, so we've talked about romantic relationships. But how do exit scams manifest in social movements? Those seem like completely different environments.
They are, but the underlying principle is the same. The exploitation of trust for personal gain. We often see these charismatic leaders emerge, promising change and progress, but then they abandon the cause. Once they've gained power or notoriety.
It's like they're riding the wave of a movement. For their own personal gain. Without any genuine commitment to the cause.
They might use their platform to enrich themselves, exploit their followers, or simply lose interest in the movement that they once championed.
And that can leave their followers feeling betrayed, disillusioned, even hopeless.
It's
almost like a collective heartbreak on a massive scale.
In a way, yes. And it's a reminder that we need to be critical thinkers. Even when it comes to causes we believe in, we need to question motives, scrutinize actions, and hold leaders accountable for their promises.
This whole conversation has been eye-opening.
Good, I'm glad.
It's made me realize that exit scams are far more pervasive than I ever imagined. They can pop up in any area of our lives where trust is a factor.
And that's why it's so important to be vigilant. To cultivate a healthy sense of skepticism and to remember that knowledge is power.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of exit scams, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Whether it's an investment opportunity, a relationship, a social movement, or even a belief system. Don't be afraid to question, to dig deeper, and to walk away if necessary. You deserve to live a life free from deception and manipulation, both external and internal.
That's excellent advice. And with that, we conclude our deep dive into the world of exit scams.
Thanks for listening.
We hope this episode has empowered you to stay vigilant, think critically, and protect yourself from these insidious schemes.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.
See you next time.